All right. I think we're live now. I think it's actually working now. So hopefully the stream's okay. It's not too blocky or too choppy. Sorry I was late. Had some work stuff to take care of. So looks like, what do we got? We got all kinds of people in here. You guys are talking with each other. So I'm not going to go through all the chat in here and try to get to everyone that's already talked. We'll just start up from where we're at right now. Looks like Verna's handling things pretty well. Lots of questions coming in with Verna being tagged. So good evening, guys. While I'm waiting on things to catch up here, let me get the disclaimers out of the way. Again, this is just a weekly live broadcast. Pretty much every Thursday evening. I'm usually here at 7 o'clock Central. Tonight I was running a little bit late. But I don't have any topic planned out. This is just a chance for me to interact with you guys and respond to the live chats that come through the chat itself. And the only thing I ask is be polite, be family friendly. Don't start cussing at people. Don't call them names. Don't be hateful. We can have differences of opinions. That's fine. We just no reason to be hateful about it. No reason to hate somebody over a difference of opinion. All right. So let's get going. Where we at here? Gerald, good to see you. Rachel. Owen, I'm doing well, thank you. I've got COVID. I did get tested. It came out positive for COVID, so I'm a little sick, but actually not that bad right now. I'm getting much better. I've gone a full day for the, and this is what Jupiter's asking, how the COVID test went. You sound a bit congested. I am a little bit congested still. Just a little stuffy nose, a little bit of a cough. Really wasn't that bad, but the first couple of days with running a fever off and on, felt pretty run down whenever the fever would hit me, but it's been at least a full day since the fever's been gone. So I'm still, I'm still mending, but for the most part, I'm getting over it. I was lucky; I had a fairly mild case of it, I think. So so far, anyway, as long as it doesn't get worse, that's where we're at. So anyway, Spartman, hello to you, and Whiskey Tango, good to see you. I love the shirt I'm wearing today. Oh, yep, I always forget which shirt I'm wearing. People say, I love your shirt, and I have to look to see it because it's backwards to me in the camera view. I don't know why that is. Interesting. Anyway, where we at here? Let's see where we at. Missing a few things. Christina, there we go. Hello from Nicaragua. Awesome. Thanks for joining. Verna, good to see you. Says, I can't wait to meet you on September 5th. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Jesus says, what is the best way to check if a quail is male or female? Well, it depends on what kind of quail it is. If it's just a standard brown color, like the wild variety or whatever, you can just look at them and tell which ones are male or female. The males are going to have more of a red chest, and the females are going to have a speckled chest. So they're going to have like little brown flecks and speckles on that. If they're not, if they're like a different breed, like a all white bird, or sorry, I got something under my fingernail there. It just caught my eye. Dirt, it looks like. Not sure how I got dirt under there, but anyway, took me off track. I'm a little bit spaced out apparently. If they are different, they're not the standard browns, or maybe an all white or a tuxedo or something like that, then you're gonna have to vent sex them. And that means you're gonna have to wait until they're in breeding mode. So the females are laying eggs, the males are crowing, and then what you'll do is you'll turn them over. The males will have like a big bulb right behind their vent, and if you push just a little bit on it, you should see foam coming out of their vent. The females won't have that. Now, I've got a video that shows you how to do that. I think it's called 3 Easy Ways to Sex Coturnix Quail. It's a fairly old one, but it goes through all those details, so you can go back to my homepage on YouTube and search through my videos, and you should be able to find that one video, and it'll walk you through how to do that. So anyway, that's one of the reasons I really like the standard brown color. I like the jumbo meat makers, the jumbo pharaohs. It's just super easy to tell which ones are roosters and which ones are hens. So that's one of the reasons I really like them. All right, Brandon wants to know, what's the best meat rabbit breed? Have you ever raised silver fox, or have you raised silver fox? I have raised silver fox, and they're a good breed, great breed. As far as the best one goes, it's hard to say exactly what the best one is. You can't go wrong with a New Zealand white, a good California, a silver fox, giant chinchilla make a good one, Florida whites. You're probably easiest ones to find. Silver foxes are great meat rabbits. So if you can find those, go for it. They're fine. The easiest, most common are probably going to be New Zealand whites. Now, what I would caution you with is, it seems like around here anyway, a lot of the times New Zealand whites, people have crossed them with Flemish giants, and those don't make a good meat rabbit in my opinion. Anything crossed with a Flemish Giant, I found that their growth, their babies grow out incredibly slow. So I would stay away from those. Try to go with a purebred if you can find one. And if you can get, if you're not planning on breeding to have future breeders, if you're just breeding for meat, then if you can find a purebred New Zealand and a purebred California, or a purebred silver fox and a purebred Californian, or a, two purebred rabbits of different breeds, breed them together, you get hybrid vigor. And that hybrid vigor is that first generation of two purebred rabbits that are different breeds bred together. That first generation has that hybrid vigor, and they tend to have a lot less problems, be a lot hardier, grow a little faster, all those kinds of things. So if you can do that, then that works out pretty well. But honestly, there's lots of different breeds of meat rabbits that are great. Stay away from, the pet rabbits, the lops, those kinds of things. And, hopefully that answers it anyway. But yeah, silver foxes are great. If you got them available, don't hesitate. They're going to be fantastic meat rabbits. All right. Only One says hello from 10EC. I don't know what that means. Hang on. I got a text coming in. Let's make sure it's not. It's my wife. Let me just respond to her real quick. It wasn't super important, but still, I got to respond to my wife. I don't have to. I want to. But all right. Only One says hello from 10EC. I don't know what that means exactly, but thanks for being here. Katrina says, hopefully you're past the worst part. Yeah, I think I am. The fever hasn't been back for the last day or two. So, that was really the hard part, was when I had the fever. Now, I am a little bit more congested. I think, well, not today. I was a little more congested yesterday, and that does even seem to be getting just a little bit better. But anyway, I think I'm past the worst of it anyway. Paleo says, greetings from Maine. Make sure you take your vitamin D. Yeah, I don't take any vitamins, but I'm not against them necessarily. I just don't bother with it. But yeah, I probably should. Hey, there, Caternix Corners here. Good to see you, Terry. Robert says, how far in the Quail Con for to travel? How far in the Quail Con for to travel to? I don't know what exactly you're saying. You're like, how far is it? It's in Ohio, Miamisburg, Ohio. So as far as how far that is, I don't know if you're asking me how far I've got to travel to get there, or if you're saying how far is it. I'm probably going to be flying in, because it is about a 10.5-hour drive for me. And I've got to be back, like the day after. I've got to be back home. So I don't want to have to drive up there, spend the day and then turn around and drive right back. So I'll probably fly in, because it's like a 2-hour flight. But anyway, we're going to see how that goes. Ed Got Bait says, hi, watch that video I sent you. Did you send me a video? If you left it in a comment, I haven't been real good about getting into the comments here lately. I'm working on it, but just haven't done it. But so no, I probably haven't seen the video you sent me yet, Ed. I'm sorry about that. Not intending to ignore it. I just get so many things sent to me that I just can't keep up. All right, Sillamore says, glad you're okay. Well, thank you. I am too. Verna, oh, she's talking to Terry. Jupiter says, I hope your wife doesn't get it with her other health issues. She's been vaccinated. She's a pharmacy tech, so she kind of has to be vaccinated. But yeah, I know it's still possible to get it, but it's unlikely. Spartum says, zinc did wonders when I had COVID. You're probably right. Zinc, vitamin C, the standard stuff you would take for a cold or anything else like that would probably help quite a bit. But I'm one of those that just, I don't know why. I just typically don't take anything and just let my body fight it off. I'm getting over it. So who knows? Maybe, if I, still feel congested in the next day or two, I may definitely pick up some of those Coldies tablets that have the zinc and all that in them. All right. Katrina says, first time hatcher. I have a Hovabator incubator with a Hovabator egg turner and with quail rails. If you have any particularly large eggs, where is the safest place to put them in the egg turner? Well, that's a good question. I have run into a few issues where I've got exceptionally large eggs. Now, here's what I would say. If your eggs are exceptionally large and unusually large compared to all the rest of them, they're probably double yolk, and you're probably best off just not incubating those at all. But if you've just got birds laying pretty good size eggs all the time and the eggs are a little bit big, then yeah, maybe put the bigger ones. I would put them towards the middle. There's not really necessarily I would say, a safest place to put them. If you may have to space out and not put an egg right behind them or right in front of them or right beside them or something like that. But I've never had too many issues with it myself. So I don't know if I can give you any better advice on it than that, unfortunately. All right. Lots of people saying hi to Terry, which is perfectly okay. I hope that didn't sound bad. Oh, no, I scrolled too far. There we go. Joe says, ever have trouble with coryza? We had to call 7 sick birds and deep clean our cages and frames. No, I don't know what that is. Coryza? Let me put that in here. Let's see. It's an inflammation of the mucous membranes in the nose caused specifically by a cold or hay fever. That's in people, though. And in chickens, it's a bacterial disease. This would be the same in quail, I'm sure, which affects respiratory system. No, I've never had that problem myself. So I'm sorry you had to deal with that. That's not good. I think I would be looking if you had 7 sick birds all at the same time, and clean out your cages, and deep clean your cages and frames. That's probably the right move. If it keeps coming back, then I would definitely look at maybe what could be bringing it around. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it's just a one-time occurrence. You don't have continuing issues with it. Jesus says, okay, I'll look it up. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, no problem. Junie says, hey, Chris, how is the garden? The delayed spring and then sudden heat wave just ruined my tomatoes. I think I'm just going to skip the garden this year. Yeah, mine's actually doing all right now. It's starting to pick up. I'm starting to get some produce out of it. Lots of zucchini and squash. We're eating that just about every day, it seems like. And the tomatoes are starting to come ripe, so we're getting 3 or 4 tomatoes out of it a day right now. There's a lot of green on there, so I'm sure we're going to get a whole bunch of them pretty soon. Right now, my wife is eating pretty much all the tomatoes as they're coming in, which is fine. I eat some too, but she's eating a whole lot of them. Crystal Blue says, how do you fix quails with split legs? That's a tough one. Excuse me. That's a tough one. Splay legs. There's a couple of reasons why it could be caused. One thing, what I usually find is the biggest issue with splay leg is incubator temperature is running just a little bit low, so your birds tend to hatch a little bit late. When they hatch a little bit late, they don't tend to develop nearly as well, or don't get a chance to stretch out the tendons in their legs or something. So those late hatchers do have a tendency to have splay leg or foot problems or something like that. Now, if you catch it early, it can sometimes be fixed. It's tricky. It doesn't always work. But what you basically need to do is to build some kind of brace or something like that that's going to force their feet underneath them and keep them there for 12, 14 hours, something like that. So you can use something like a shot glass, put them in there with their feet forced under them. I've used a piece of PVC pipe that was just, 3/4 inch or something like that. So it was just big enough for them to sit in and put them in, it's about that tall, and put them inside there. I've done that before. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There are people that have used things like little pieces of tape and basically made like leg braces for them to tape, to get their feet straight and their legs underneath them. It's tricky to do, and you've got to address it really, really quick, because if you don't, it can't seem to be fixed, and there's not really much you can do at that point. If it's if these birds are hatching on time and you're getting a high rate of splayed legs, and it's not related to incubator temperature and the birds hatching out late or anything like that, there could be some kind of genetic issue. And I would just call them out. And then that way you don't have to worry about passing that on and continuing that. But I'm sure, I'm sorry, I can't give you better advice than that. It's just, in my experience, it's been a really tricky thing to fix. And I have not been able to be incredibly successful with it all the time. So hopefully that helps. So, good luck with it. I hope it does work. Rachel says, okay, I guess my end messing up. I don't know what that. I'm sorry, Rachel. I'm lost. I don't know what we're talking about. Jesus says, how old should I wait to butcher my California rabbits? It's a purebred. Sorry, I got distracted by the next comment. I got to wait. I do that more based on weight than I do age. I like to get them up to about 5 pounds before I process them. And that depends on the rabbit. Sometimes if you get good breeding stock, you can get those up to 5 pounds by 8 weeks old. Sometimes it takes 12 weeks to get them up there. It just depends on your rabbits, the genetics, and all those, how fast those babies are going to grow. So I really just kind of get them right around that 5 pound mark, and that's kind of what I'm looking at. I don't actually weigh them. I just kind of look at them, and I can kind of tell when they're real close to 5 pounds. So that is the way that I go about it. As far as how you're going to go about it, you can do it, whatever works best for you is going to be the way to do it. I would try to get them done before they get too old, though. The older they get, the kind of tougher they get. And, especially an old, over a year old, the rabbit's going to be pretty tough, and it's going to be incredibly hard to skin. So, those are just my advice on it. All right, Valentine says, my rabbits are 6 months and still isn't mating. Well, it sounds like if it's 6 months old right now, you might just give it just a little bit longer. There could be a number of reasons why it's not mating right now. I don't know if it's a buck or a doe. If it's a buck, it may just be too hot out. A lot of times bucks will go sterile when it gets to be about 80 degrees or more. So they just may not be in the breeding mood because it's too hot. And then again, it just, 6 months is kind of like, that's right on the verge of when they should be, really sexually mature at that point. So you may just have to give them a couple more weeks or a month before they're ready, especially if it's a doe. They're going to be typically, and if it is a doe, that it may not be that they're not mature enough to mate yet. It may just be that they're reluctant to. A lot of times does are reluctant to breed, especially for the first time. And, there are some tricks that you can do. I've got videos that address that. But most of the time it's just keep trying. If she's just right at 6 months, though, I'd give her another couple of weeks before I'd worry about it too much. And then if they're still not breeding at that point, if it is a doe and she's just, hunkering down in the corner, won't lift for the buck, whatever, then, I'm guessing, and I don't know, you said my rabbits, so you're probably talking both doe and buck. Now, if the buck's not trying to mount, then that's probably just age. Just give him a little bit longer. He'll do that. If your buck's, trying to mount, but your doe won't lift for him, that could very well be just the doe being reluctant to breed. So, I'm not going to go through all the details on how to fix that right there, because chances are you just need to give them a little bit more time. But if you do have problems with that, where the buck is wanting to mate, but the doe won't lift for him, I do have a video on how to get what to do when your doe won't breed, I think is what it's called. So you should be able to find that on my channel, and it goes through several different things. Most of it's just keep trying, morning, night, morning, night, morning, night, morning, night. But I will tell you one trick that does work sometimes, at least people report that it does. Take that doe, put her in a pet carrier, put her in your car, drive her around the block a couple of times, and then take her out and put her in with the buck. Don't know why that would work, but so many people report that it does. There's got to be something to it. All right. Bravo says, from Carl. I don't know if you're saying you're from Carl, as in like Carl Junction, the town just not too far from here, or anyway, let's go on. It says, does cold pressed neem oil help curtail tomato hornworms? Are you getting hit with them? We always get a few hornworms here and there. I don't have big problems with them. Occasionally I'll find one. I've never had good luck with neem oil really doing anything with most bugs. I think it probably does work, but the problem is every time it rains, it washes off. So I've just never had really good luck with it. Never found it to do much of anything. Now, if you're having a big problem with tomato hornworms, what I would try is BT, which is specifically for like caterpillars and things like that. It's a naturally occurring bacteria, but it does target. It's specific to caterpillars and things. So you don't have to worry about it killing off any other bugs or any of those kinds of things, and it does a really good job. So I would look into that. I can't remember what the initials stand for, but BT, look it up. You'll find it. You can get it like Tractor Supply, I think, in a couple of those places, and it should address that issue for you. All right, Gingerbeard says, Hood. Oh, good evening, I think it is. Or Hood evening. He says, Hood evening, good sir. I think that's a typo. Hope all is well. I have a quail-related question. I seem to have a bumblefoot issue with a wire bottom cage setup. Any tips? If you're saying it's multiple issues, I don't really ever have bumblefoot issues. Sometimes I'll have a bird that kind of injures a foot or whatever and limps around for a couple of days and then gets over it, but not really bumblefoot issues. Bumblefoot's usually something, and it could easily be your wire cage. They scratch their foot on the wire cage, get a grain of sand in it, whatever, it gets infected, and you end up with on the bottom of their foot, like an infected spot, basically. So what you've got to do to treat that is basically get whatever's in there out. You may have to cut it open a little bit, get the, whatever is inside the foreign object out of it, and you can treat it, then, clean it out real good and treat it with like an antibiotic ointment. Don't use one with pain reliever in it. Anyway, sorry, got distracted again. Anyway, that should take care of it. Now, if it's a reoccurring issue, then yeah, you might probably look at maybe changing out your wire bottom with, try maybe a different type of wire, make sure it's not too overly rough or anything like that. Like I said, I don't really have issues with it myself, so it's not something that, I really have suggestions. Well, one thing you could do is you could look for like a PVC coated wire. Now, that stuff's pretty expensive, but you don't need that much of it. You just need it for the flooring. So that might help out a lot too, a PVC coated hardware cloth or something like that. Hopefully that helps. Hey, Paula, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Ed says video was from Whiskey Tango Farms. I'll need to look that up then. And Paula wants to know how I'm doing. I'm doing pretty well. Silmore says, question, did you get the vaccine? No, I got the COVID. So the natural vaccine. I'm going to get over it and then be vaccinated, I guess. I did not get the vaccine. I caught COVID instead, and I'm on a 14-day quarantine, which is really kind of the worst part in a lot of ways because I just can't go anywhere. I'm stuck at home. Luckily I can work from home, so I don't have to miss work. I can, still earn a paycheck and all those kinds of things, but I can't go anywhere. So I have to send my wife out to get anything that we need. I can't do that for her, and it just it kind of drives me nuts. But anyway, Paula says, sorry I was out watering. Did you say you have COVID? Yep, I do. It is confirmed I do have COVID. Whoa, there's a super chat. I don't know if that just came through or I missed it. Law of the Minimum with a $5 super chat says, hello, Chris. Have you thought of any other livestock such as fish besides the quail and the rabbits and the chickens? I've thought a few times about getting something else, but, I've turned away from, I thought about doing like aquaponics at one time because you do get a fish yield and vegetables out of it. It looks like a great system. The problem I have with it, I don't think it would work all that well is that, most of the time they're using tilapia, and I think tilapia is just one of the worst fish ever as far as eating. They're just trashed in my opinion. So I don't really like tilapia. I don't really feel like I want to raise them. Not only that, but it just gets way too cold here in the wintertime for them. So I wouldn't be able to sustain them through the wintertime. Now you could use something else, I guess, but there's not a whole lot of stuff that really produces that high. And it's just a lot of expense and a lot of work. And so I've decided not to do that. I don't know. I really can't do too much livestock. I live right in the middle of town. So I'm kind of pushing it with what I do right now. But who knows? Maybe at some point I will change that out, and I'll take a risk and do something else. I'm not sure what else I could add though. I've often thought about it, but like I said, being right in town and having such a small area, I can't really raise cattle or even goats. I mean, I'd have a hard time getting away with goats. I'd have to fence in my whole back area back there. And the city ordinance on goats is pretty ridiculous, honestly. But I just don't want to draw a whole lot of more attention to myself. So I don't think I can do that. There's not really a whole lot else I could do, I don't think. All right, PJ says, do you have experience with bunny flop? No, not really. I mean, I've had rabbits that just suddenly died for whatever reason. It could be that, but no, just I think what you're talking about when you say bunny flop is just like the bunny just flops over and dies, basically, is what they're doing. Don't really have that issue. It's never been something I've had many problems with. If you're having lots of issues with it, I'd be checking, like, there's got to be some kind of illness, disease, something going through, and you'd probably be best to try to identify what that is and get that taken care of. But aside from taking it to a vet, I mean, there's a $4.99 super chat. Was that somebody? Yep, that was Ed. Says, thanks for all the good info. Well, thank you for the $4.99 super chat, Ed. I appreciate that. All right, Spartman says, any advice on how? Sorry, the bunny flop. Yeah, you could check for. There's a couple of illnesses, diseases you can kind of check for if there's other symptoms going on. Another thing that could happen with bunny flop is, where was I going to go with that? Oh, like neurological issues, like they end up, like rabbits they can break their backs. They can have, if they get a foot caught up in something and start fighting and twisting around, they can definitely break their back, hit their head on something, and that could cause a lot of problems. So those could be the issues, or, some kind of disease or illness. Coccidiosis is the one that comes to mind. So you would check when, if you had a rabbit that just died like that for whatever reason, check the liver and see if it's got like white spots all around. That could be an issue too. But that's all I can think of right off the top of my head. Spartan says, any advice on how to trap or take care of raccoons? I've been losing chickens to one, possibly a family. Yeah, if you can get a live trap around here, the conservation department will loan them to you. But if you can get a live trap and bait it with like, cat food, wet cat food, like a can of cat food, you should be able to catch that raccoon. And then just whenever you go release them somewhere else, but do it in like a nature preserve or something. Don't go release it in somebody's backyard. Find a conservation area or something, a ways away from your house and release it over there. If it's a big problem, there's always a pellet gun or something like that to take care of it too. I don't know if you live in the country or if you live in town, if you can shoot a gun or not where you live. So that's always an option too. I prefer, if I can, to just trap them and release them somewhere because they're just doing what they're doing. They're not. Sometimes you do have to thin them out for sure. But at the same time, if you can get away with catching one and taking it out in the middle of the woods somewhere and letting it go a ways from your house, a long way from your house, and not near anybody else's. Don't make it somebody else's problem. If you have that option, that's the way to do it. The other thing you might do is just string up electric fence around your chicken wire, chicken house or whatever. You can string up electric fence and take some like aluminum foil strips, rub them down with peanut butter and fold them over that electric fence about every 3 or 4 feet all the way around it. And that raccoon's going to smell that peanut butter and be drawn to it and stick his tongue on that aluminum foil and probably never come back. That would be my guess, but try that out and see if that works for you too. All right. Only One says, if a baby quail won't poop, how to fix? I helped with hatch, lived 4 days. Poop was dried on the rectum from the hatch, Vaseline to soften up, and then was a string of clear liquid, and it's short for Tennessee. What's it short for Tennessee? Oh, that was the abbreviation. Okay, the abbreviation you gave me earlier is short for Tennessee. I couldn't figure out why this clear stuff coming out was short for Tennessee. Confused me. I got it now. I'm with you. All right, what it sounds like is you've got a case of pasty butt, which I very rarely, if ever, run into with baby quail. But you said you had to help it out of the egg, help it hatch, and that you usually run into some problems with birds that you have to help hatch out. The biggest thing is to clean it up, make sure it stays clean. A lot of times they'll just recover from that on their own, and they'll be fine. As far as it won't, if it won't poop, I don't know what you can do if it won't poop, unless it's just, like I said, there's something clogged up there. You may want to get a, I've had chickens have that problem before and, found like a Q-tip wetted down, and I was able to, work out the, whatever's plugging them up, basically out of there. That's the only thing I can say. I don't know if you can, you can get that done with a baby quail or not. I've never tried. They're awful tiny, but it could be something you could do. Warm water, maybe soak it in Epsom salt bath or something like that to help loosen all that up and get that out of there. All right, PJ Homestead says, my rabbit just died randomly. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That does happen from time to time. Unfortunately, it's just part of raising animals, but it is a bummer, and I'm very sorry to hear that. All right, William, quick question. As I'm coming in at the tail end, just got the notification of the live chat. Okay. There's no question there, though. It probably comes here in a minute. We'll get there. Deborah says, feed the tomato hornworms to the quail and watch them run around with the prize. There you go. Only One says, died on day 4. Oh, yeah. A lot of the times, unfortunately, those birds that you do have to help out or that have some kind of problem like that, they do end up dying despite your best efforts. It sounds like you did what you could. So I don't have a lot of better advice, unfortunately. Verna says, I looked it up and it is simply a cold. What did we look up that was simply a cold? I don't know. But anyway, Katrina says, thanks. Eggs are from my shire, and I asked Zach, and he suggested to put bigger ones towards the middle as well. I wanted to see what you said as well. Well, I'm sure, Zach's got good advice on it. I don't think that, sometimes we do things a little bit differently, but I think that's probably plenty good advice. Put them towards the middle. That's kind of what I thought initially too. All right, William says, Can they bring in a chef, even if it costs extra at the Quail Con? It would be quite informative, teach people recipes, etc. I believe it would be a great fit. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I don't think the budget is there for that, though. Even if they sell out of all their tickets, I just doubt they're doing much more than breaking even at the best. But yeah, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? I'm sure that there'll be plenty of people there talking about recipes and those kinds of things anyway. All right, Madison, hello. Verna says they will have a food truck. They will for sure have a food truck there. That's right. Madison says we also planted tomatoes. The ice cream truck's going by. It caught me off guard. We also planted tomatoes. They're still growing. Can't wait to eat them, though. Yeah, mine are just starting to get ripe. I mean, we had one a couple of weeks ago that was ripe. Had our first bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwich with basil mayo, and oh my gosh, that's the best thing ever. And then, just within the last 3-4 days, well, it's been about 5 days. The last 5 days, we're just starting to get several ripe tomatoes a day. About, 3. I got 4 out of there today. Yesterday, I think we had 3. We had burgers. We had cheeseburgers for dinner last night, so I had a slice of tomato on my cheeseburger, and my wife ate all of the other 3 tomatoes, sliced them up and ate them. Just salt and pepper on them, so, which is, I mean, she just did salt. She doesn't do salt and pepper, but yeah, that's fantastic. So anyway, I went and picked out, I had a leftover extra cheeseburger from last night that I ate for lunch today. So I went out and grabbed 4 more tomatoes out of there, and I sliced one up, put a slice on my burger, and ate the rest of it with just salt and pepper on it. They're so good. Anyway, Tim says, my quail are 16 weeks old and not laying. I have a solid roof on them as the top. Well, light is probably the number one reason why they're not laying, why quail don't lay. The lack of light. They need 16 hours a day of light in order to be able to lay on a regular basis. So, if you don't have 16 hours a day of light going into them, then they're probably not going to be laying on a regular basis. The other thing is if you're moving them around a lot, stress factors keep them from laying. So they don't like to be moved around a lot. So if you've got them in a hutch and you're taking them out and moving them here and moving them there and moving them there and moving them there, that's going to stress them out, and they're probably not going to lay. Now, you said it has a solid top on it, so if it's really, if it's, shading them too much to where it stays pretty dark inside the hutch, that may be your problem. You can add an external light that will help with that, or try to, open it up a little bit more. You don't want to stick them in. Look at that. There's, I know who that is. Crafty Lulu says, watching here, thanks for the info, with a 500 yen. I think it's Chinese yen, I think. I can't remember if it's Chinese or Japanese yen because I don't know. But thank you for the super chat. Either way, Crafty, I appreciate that. Anyway, so that's the thing with quail not laying. If you can add an external light, I say external, like you can hang it inside the hutch, and it doesn't have to be super bright, but just give them a little bit extra light. That should help them start laying. All right. Outdoor Moore says, I have a quail get out today, and I was wondering if it might come back. It's doubtful. It's possible, but it is doubtful that it will come back. And there's a good chance that it's going to get caught and eaten by something, even if it does try to come back. So I hate to say that, but, quail are a prey species, and especially domesticated ones just don't fly very well. So they don't do a good job of getting away from things. Look at that. Verna says you can get the leg braces on Amazon. I didn't even realize that. I'll have to look into that. Madison says, what's the average weight for a New Zealand rabbit? You mean a full-grown one? Probably around 10 pounds, 10, 11 pounds, somewhere right around in there. They're pretty good-sized rabbits. If you're talking about babies, it depends on how old they are. If you've got good, purebred New Zealand whites, you should be able to get, they should be about 5 pounds by about 8 weeks old. Mine right now take to about 12 weeks to get to be 5 pounds. So I don't know if that answers the question or if there was more to it or not, but hopefully that was it. Brandon says, do you do anything with rabbit pelts or the feathers from the quail? Just wondering what type of things you could do with them without just tossing them. I've kind of played with that idea before. The rabbit pelts, you'd probably have to tan them out. And the thing with it is when you're processing rabbits at 8 to 12 weeks old, their pelts really aren't good for much of anything except for crafts. So they're just not thick enough to be made like clothing and those kinds of things. So there's not a market for them anyway. I'm not saying you couldn't do it. You could do it yourself. They're just not super sturdy at that point. So, I haven't bothered with doing that. I'm a fairly busy person, so I just don't have a whole lot of extra time to to work on that. I'm interested in learning how to tan. I've got an idea how to do it. I just don't have all the time in the world. And anyway, so no, I don't do anything with the pelts. I haven't figured out a good use for the feathers. I don't know if maybe somebody that, fly tying or something like that might want to get into it, but I really haven't found an option for that or a use for that. Look at that. Verna says she knows someone that makes headbands with quail feathers. I bet that would make sense. And Bravo says yes. I don't know what yes means exactly, but and says, by the way, thank you. Yes, I'm from Carl Junction, right down the road. Good evening. Yeah, Carl Junction is just right next door, basically. Know it well. I went to Webb City. That was the high school I went to, so right next door to Carl Junction. All right. S. McKee says, I was told to move young females into the cage with the males when they are 4 weeks old. That didn't work. It didn't work for what? I'm not sure. Was that an extension of something else? Yeah, I've had really good luck. I don't know if you mean it didn't work from the standpoint of maybe they didn't get along, or I don't know what that means. But I've had really good luck putting young 3 to 4 week old birds in with older birds. Both roosters, hens, all that. They all go in with the older birds at that point. And I've never had any problems with them. The older birds don't pick on the younger birds or any of those kinds of issues. You said you had to move the old males into freezer camp and replace with younger ones. So I'm guessing the males tried to breed with the younger females, the 4 week old females. That's weird. I've never had that issue myself. So I'm not sure why that would be. Maybe your birds are maturing a little bit faster than mine normally do. At 4 weeks old, they shouldn't be, seen as mates, potential mates at that point. So I wouldn't think, but who knows? Maybe it would, maybe they are. Joe says BT equal is Bacillus thuringiensis or something like that. Yes, thank you. I don't know what it is. Bravo says, thank you, Joe. Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Madison, me personally, I don't trust the vaccine. And Verna says, neither do I. Yeah, I'm not necessarily anti-vaccine. I think vaccines have done a lot of good for us. Now, this one, I can't say one way or the other. I do believe it's probably fine. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with it. I don't buy into the theory that vaccines are causing, at least not on a widespread, autism and those kinds of things. I do believe, vaccines eradicated polio, and there's a time and a place for vaccines, and I think that they do a lot of good in this world. But again, I don't want to get into a big political debate, and we can have differences of opinions and not get hateful about it. So don't beat me up over it. I don't know if this vaccine for the COVID or not. I couldn't say one way or the other. And my wife has been vaccinated, no problems. I don't think there's and she's not caught COVID. So, and apparently it's working. Brandon says, what do you do for a day job, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah, I work for I work for a call center. I've been call center world since I was 19 years old, so forever. I'm an account manager for a call center, so I deal with the clients and that kind of thing. All right, Verna says use catfish, Chris. Yeah, that's an option. I could do catfish. It's hard to get them to reproduce in captivity. It can be done, but I just don't know that I want to deal with it. If I had a great big pond, that would be the better way to do it, but yeah, I don't. Paleo says our first batch of quail eggs started hatching yesterday. We had 19 of 22 eggs hatch. We used your Listerine method. 2 more eggs cracked halfway around the egg. When should I offer assistance? Really, I find it best not to offer assistance. You can give them several days to see if they're going to hatch on their own, but I find that it usually does not help to try to help them out of the egg. You usually end up with other problems with those birds. They very seldom ever make it. So I would suggest just letting nature take its course on those. But you got 19 out of 22. That's a fantastic catch rate. Well done. Paula says, I hope you feel better soon. Sorry to hear you caught the crud. Yeah, thank you, Paula. I'm actually not feeling too bad. I'm a little congested. You can kind of hear it probably, and a little sniffly, but really don't feel all that bad now that my fever's gone. I just ran a fever for, Saturday evening. I started running a fever. I ran pretty much all day Sunday. I didn't have a fever all day Monday. I felt pretty good. And then about 4:30, about the time I started doing the live broadcast I did on Monday, about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, fever came back, and I felt pretty rough the rest of the night, just kind of worn out and tired. And then it was kind of the same thing the next day, and then yesterday, no fever, and today, no fever. So I think I'm on the downhill side anyway. All right. PJ says, do you ever worry about algae in your rabbit waters? No, I don't worry about it. Algae is not going to hurt them. Corey says, what wormer do you use if your rabbits get worms? Probably ivermectin would be the one. My rabbits have never had worms, so I've never had to use it on them, but that would probably be what I would go with. There's a couple of different options you could look at, but that's probably the main one. PJ says, what do you know about rabbit hemorrhage disease? Not a lot. I know that it is a pretty common thing, or it's starting to become more common. And I don't think it's not rabbit hemorrhage. It's rabbit, anyway, RHD. I don't know that it's a huge threat. I know that it's been found in a couple of places, but at this point, I really don't think it's that big of an issue, and I hope it stays that way. But excuse me. All right, Gary is asking somebody else a question. Outdoor and more. I'll let you guys answer. How are we doing on time? Oh, we only got about 5 minutes left, guys. Sorry, I know I was late tonight, but I am going to still kind of cut it off at the normal time because it's late here, and I gotta go. I'm gonna go spend some time with my wife as soon as she gets home, and dinner and all that kind of stuff before bed. Spartman says, I have to try that foil on the electric fence. I have an older fence with the brand name of Cowpuncher. That should jolt them good. Yeah, it should. Kathleen, all my birds, both male and female, seem to be molting. They look pretty shady. Is this a seasonal thing? Yeah, it's pretty common. They tend to do that at the change of the season, and maybe a little late in the year for them to do it now. But yeah, it's pretty common. Don't worry about it. It'll pass. They'll recover. Probably a week, maybe two. Gary says, remember to thumbs up coming in. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. Samantha with a quail question. Do quail come back from laying shellless eggs? Why would some look dull and have a texture on them? Are they missing something in their diets? Thanks in advance. Probably not. Shellless eggs are a common thing you're going to get, especially when the birds first start laying eggs or when they first start laying, at the beginning of the season after taking a break or whatever. It's just part of the egg. It's nothing to worry about most of the time, unless you're getting like a lot of them. Like every time they lay an egg, it's a shellless egg. And then that may point to either genetic issues with the bird or, lack of calcium or something like that. The eggs that some of them look dull. That's usually just extra calcium being deposited on the shells or something like that. Unless it's like a huge problem, like most of the eggs, almost all of them you get are like that. You probably don't need to do much of anything. The one thing I would say is, if you do feel like you need to add calcium to your quail's diet, you really don't want to just mix it in with their food. Put it on the side, a crushed oyster shell or something like that. Put it on the side in a separate container and allow them to just free choice and eat as much as they want of that, because it can be bad to have too much calcium in their diet as well. So hopefully that answers that one for you, Samantha. It's usually nothing to worry about. You're going to get weird eggs. You're going to get big double yolk eggs, little bitty tiny eggs with no shell on them. All that's going to happen, especially when they first start laying. And then usually about a week or so after that, they kind of level out and you don't get them as often. All right, Mark, I have a young group of quail, 10 weeks old or so. Boys been crowing for like 3 weeks, but hens no eggs yet. I have some older quail in a different hutch, 18 weeks old, and they lay just fine, same feed. There could be a number of different things. 10 or old, so boys been crowing for like 3 weeks and hens. Yeah, 10 weeks old, though, is right at, some birds start laying at 8 weeks, some start laying at 6 weeks, some start laying at 12 weeks. So, just give them a little bit longer. They'll probably start laying. Make sure they have plenty of light. That's the big difference, or the big thing that's going to make the big difference. All right. All right, I got a lot of comments or a lot of chat here that I did not get a chance to answer, guys, but it is right at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to wrap this one up. And thank you guys for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. Sorry I can't get to every single comment that comes in. We'll do our best to do another live broadcast next week, though, and hopefully we'll get to meet a lot of you guys at QuailCon coming up here in a couple of, about a month now, I think. A little over a month. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up here tonight. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. Hope all of you are doing very, very well. And as always, God bless. We will see you guys next time. Take care.